Good evening, afternoon, and day, Randomania viewers and Free Enterprise fans. Welcome to the Hook second play-in match, where we have a total of 23 people, 12 of them featured across three streams, and you're seeing four, all looking for their one chance for the table. I am Antidale alongside Imperial Dragon. Imperial, what are you thinking about those objectives that we see there?
It could be a very fast seed with that set, but there's always the issue of where's the parts to the Legend Sword and where's the access to the moon.
Yeah, any spicy places you'd like to see that Darkness Crystal?
Hmm, that's that's definitely. I'm trying to think of some of the worst spots I've seen.
I
Though
mean, a Root Leviathan is always a great spot.
I'm really hoping for a hook. Because I mean, there's nothing quite as fun as the hook with Kanazo in the Rubicant spot or Ogopogo.
Yeah, this is both pretty mean and pretty technical, and just the way that these objectives are lining up with two pretty straightforward ones in the overworld, and then either having to find two more pieces of the two pieces to forge at the Excalibur, or to get the your Darkness Crystal. We could be looking at just a really straightforward but highly technical play of just who can execute the fastest rather than who kind of finds the stuff in the right order. But we do see Rosa, which is always a great start to see. You get your healer, get her a nice bow and some arrows. She can carry some damage in the overworld. With the 4.1 changes, you get those heroine robes early. She can do a lot of damage and take some hits really well too. It'll be interesting to see who she starts with and also what our starting key item is too.
Yeah. Regardless, everybody here's going to be a little bit nervous because this is go big or go home.
Yeah, only one person of the 23, the field of 23 in the entire race is going to go on the table. Everyone else, this will unfortunately be the end of their highway to the Threemus zone. They'll be taking the off ramp tonight. So we might see it here on the stream. And of course, we do chat ask that you try to keep as much as possible comments to the racers that we are featuring here. You can, of course, watch the other restreams as well on Free Enterprise or on RPG Limit Break. And Imperial Dragon and I will only be talking about stuff that we're seeing here right on Randomania. Just make sure that everyone's focus is here, and because we're not actually watching any of the other streams too. But Scala Kitty has given some very helpful multi-streams Kedgar link for you if you do want to watch them all. And before we get going, we do have Rumblefish and Sheep Launcher as our trackers and Neobari as our restreamer. So thank them all for coming out and helping us tonight. And here's that Rosa start, and we get a cane.
Oh, that's interesting.
Well, 1 second go mode. Have fun.
Now
So
they
Imperial
just
Dragon, how fast are you looking for Atella and going up ordeals?
that would honestly be my very first thing I'd be doing at this point. Because you've got an easy leveling grind there. Once you've got a party set up that you feel comfortable with, it's easy peasy.
Yeah, I would dearly love to see two Rydias and Atella in some of the free spots. I mean, anyone's going to be fine, just get enough levels. But my goodness, welcome to execution time, everyone. Play as hard as you can, as fast as you can, because you know where everything that you actually need is. The runners are dispersing to the four corners of the world. Look like a Kane and Vavel's having some tea at the Baron Inn, while Borin Soren is going to pick up that lunar whale. And I haven't seen too much great out of the Damsien Treasury for GDP
I
or
do believe I
GPS.
saw a cursed ring.
Oh, that is really nice. That way you don't have to worry about your tele. Oh, and I love the spicy Serpent Road strats from Neon here. Going into Baron, taking that Serpent Road, not having to deal with the cutscene to get the Lunar Whale quite yet. Wants to do the character checks and maybe some shop checks too.
Oh, that is very nice.
So it looked like we had a Yang joining the party up in Damsian. When we got an Edward and by the name, probably a Palom there in Mysidia.
Yep, definitely a Palom. Who doesn't love the Quack Kid?
I mean, I love them all the time. And there's that black shirt for Gundam Pilot Spaz. That'll be really nice on that Palom. And there's an Edge, it looked like. So if we can't get Tella here up in the overworld, what do you think you'd want to do, Imperial?
That actually gets to be a little bit tougher a call, or if you don't have a tele available. I would probably be trying to find access to get to some of the other character slots, or maybe there. It's a tough call. This is one of those I would be very nervous points.
Yeah, like I'm sure all the runners are getting more and more nervous as they're doing all these character checks and not finding the one character that they really desperately want to see, which is Tella, so they can go board deals, get that weak spell, and then go do some D machine grinding. Without that Tella, then you're starting to figure out how to get underground, maybe leverage that edge to steal some sirens, and do a whole lot of eggs on your way. But then you maybe don't have a natural anchor quite as much. We do see some samurai arrows there in the back four chests in the watery passage, so that's some really nice weaponry for Rosa. And Neon Gray, first to the moon here on this restream. Gonna go check that character, maybe check that shop too.
Maybe tell us on the moon.
Is a moon sage just a mage? Hey!
Hey, I called it.
Yep, and there is that curse ring that you saw earlier in Dancing 2, along with mute arrows and that headband in the bottom six chest there. So that was a pretty nice treasury. It'll definitely help for getting up ordeals, which I'm sure most of our runners will be doing as soon as they possibly can.
I don't think I'm quite to the point where I would be wanting to send somebody winning lottery numbers.
And of course, our runners are still probably going to want to do a little bit of shopping on the overworld, wanting to find those life potions that are guaranteed, and hoping to find some ethers, because Tella without ethers on a D machine is not your favorite thing. Yeah, and as Chief Launcher points out, we do see some Cure 3s in the Pillow Fort. The Hummingways have a nice little shop up there in the moon, as well as a comfy place to rest and relax, and they had some good curatives there.
Ooh, and there's Pale Dim. That's the waterfall, so could be worse.
Yeah, not too bad. Just the physical boss here, Edge. Bornstorm doing a nice job using that vampire with Edge to not draw the counter. Unfortunately, the kid isn't going to do too much because he's just going to cast elemental based magics, and Paladin doesn't really appreciate that.
And
And
Spaz just checked ordeals, and it looks like a Porum.
yeah, and we saw Y2 Sky check out, and we saw another Rosa there. So a lot of white mages up on mountains. I wonder if there's like a special clearance sale at REI, and they decided to get some hiking boots and go climb some mountains. I think routing wise, I like Y2 Sky's choice to go do Fibule first, just because of the speed of that waterfall is kind of obnoxious. Um, and I'd like to get the experience from Fibule and maybe even experience from Ordeals too. And we are met by some sisters there attacking Fibule.
Not really a bad spot to see them. I mean, it's early, so they don't necessarily. It's an early, easy spot, and they don't necessarily have tons of health.
Yeah, and the magic there is not too great. It's good enough to take out most people, but with Edge there, not enough to take him. And Rosa takes out the middle sister. Cindy takes a nap. Edge is probably going to clean the rest of this fight up pretty soon. And Neon Gray not fading Outline, just heading straight down. Seems to probably maybe want a little bit of experience or just some extra loot. And along with the reward of completing objective number 3 for Y2 Sky, we do get a Twin Harp that probably no one's going to play.
Yeah, kind of underwhelming there. When you've already got go mode, why music?
Yep, but luckily the 4.1 version of the game does give us the opportunity to go and play the harp afterwards. We don't even have to fight the boss. We just go visit Edward there in Troya, and he'll give us a nice tune. Bornsorn taking the objective lead though back. No longer tied with Y2 Sky. Does have objectives 3 and 4 completed.
Kanazo in Antlion. Definitely a spot I don't mind seeing him at, but sad to see him there instead of someplace harder.
Yep, although with the Crystal Sword Altar, he'd at least punch really hard, but he doesn't get a whole lot of HP there, because Wyvern doesn't have that much HP. So it wouldn't be even terribly hard at the last spot that is not Threemus that our runners will probably be going to. Ooh, and Bornsorn making the dive into Outland Castle, gonna risk some of these trap chests to get a little bit better loot. I guess hasn't seen a whole lot that he wants to see out of this.
And there's another reset out of Ordeals. Like, I guess people aren't terribly impressed with Porum.
No, they are looking for Tella. I am almost certain. And we do get a magma key from Gunpilot Spaz there with that Kanato. So we do have some access underground. We don't have to demachine if we can find the money to buy lots of sirens, or at least steal them and just spend all the time for it. Looks like that left tower's had at least 2 monster packs in it. That's really kind of unfortunate. You almost hope to run into the third then on your last trip through, just so that you can then feel for comfortable completing the rest of Eblan Castle.
Oh, and there's another curse ring. The game's being generous about making sure they're available.
Yeah, absolutely. No reason to kill off your Tello then at the end of a D Machine fight. If you do that, that Curse Ring will get him down in that agility very nicely. Uh, Imperial Dragon, why do we care so much about Tello's agility if we do get level him up a bunch?
Because he will be in the center position as an anchor. Just to make it so that everybody else's speed goes reasonably. And Threemus. Of course, Threemus too.
And
I'm not the best with the mechanics of it exactly.
Y2 Sky betrays Kane, throws him out of the party for Tella. Overall, probably a good choice. Um, Having Tella and Edge there makes those two people's levels a little bit higher. And if you can finagle it through ordeals and maybe get only one of those other characters, like maybe a Rosa or maybe Yang, depending on what you're planning to do in your Z fight, uh, get them to where they're 5 levels behind the third character, then you'll be able to get a slingshot off of a D machine grind, which would definitely help you have to do fewer D machines, which would be really kind of nice.
Anything that reduces the amount of grinding you need to do is very nice.
Yeah, fewer D machines to summon, fewer heals to throw, fewer ethers to find for Tella and throw at him. It definitely just helps out so much. And we get a commercial something on Gundapal's Baz's side as the Job Dwarf. A commercial designer. Thank you, Sheep Launcher. Oh, and there were Ether 1s also in the Hummingway shop, so that's really nice. Cure 3s and Ether 1s up there in the moon. So that moon was your one-stop shop for all that you need to complete the seed, except maybe a few more life potions.
Yeah, I would definitely want a few more life potions.
Yeah, Bornstorm making an interesting play, looking at that Crystal Sword Altar Boss. If it's the Edge's Parents, it's free, and then you'll get your Crystal, which is really, really interesting. But I'm not entirely sure about it myself because I'd probably want to just come to the moon as my last thing, since we don't have a pass yet.
Yeah, that's sort of it's not the move I would make in that spot, but maybe it'll pay off.
Oh man, that's such a nice feeling Gunpowder Spaz had finding the monster chest in the first spot, first trap chest or first chest area you look at in the Land of Summon Monsters. So you can now open the rest of them with impunity and get all that really, really good loot.
And we're finally going to see somebody actually do ordeals rather than reset out.
Yeah, we are guarded by an octopus. It's not Ultros, it is Octomam here, just sitting at the front of the bridge, very, very far away from any water. So I'm a little bit confused on where she thinks she's going. Maybe there was a big rainstorm on ordeals earlier?
If there wasn't a good a nice rainstorm there, that's probably a very uncomfortable spot for an octopus.
Well, those dark imps could be free if you get that magma key from Ant Lion and then go find some coffins or a hourglass, but that's not going to be free at all for this party at these levels. Because Wyvern doesn't punch you, so it's on the moon, which means that's a lot of punching stat at that spot. They're going to hit for a good truckload or two of damage every time.
Yeah, they're not necessarily hard once you're ready for them, but if you're not ready,
Yeah, those Medusa arrows that Neon Grey just picked up, if you're able to get an hourglass off, would do some great work, make them real fast. But again, you need a few more items in order to actually take them out easily, or just a whole bunch of levels. And a Bomb Bomb here in the back attack spot. That's not so fun all the time. We just get an Artemis bow out of the free chest in the Fame March. That you can sell though for a good bit of money, and we're probably not going to use it to actually attack things too much. I don't think.
Yes, they can be scary, but it's basically just you have to actually, or if you've got the right stuff, they're not scary in Van.
GPS did find some sirens somewhere. I missed if that was out of a shop or a chest, but is able to get a nice quick infusion of experience. Meanwhile, YG Sky is through that Mom Bomb fight. We do have Ordeal summited. Tello will be getting a full spell list here, and we do get a fresh fancy new key item. Which is a spoon and a free fight.
Well, guess the spoon will be good to throw at something.
Yeah, I'm just going to be real happy to toss that in a little bit. Or in case maybe someone finds an Edward somewhere that we haven't seen anywhere. But I don't think anyone's going to take any time to go find that Edward.
Well, I know there was an Edward because I saw him get gotten rid of earlier. I know I saw Neon get rid of an Edward earlier.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that Edward would have gotten yeeted from this party. He's not so much someone that you want to see if you don't get that spoon right away on a seed this fast. But Edge quickly dispatches his parents on ordeals, and Y2 Sky has ordeals done, has his Darkness Crystal, has a Tella, I believe.
Yep.
Imperial Dragon, how much do you think some of these runners might be kind of in a little bit of a panic mode and trying to do some things just in order to uh, kind of calm their mind and calm their nerves a little bit, doing some checks that they maybe don't need to do? Like there's no reason to go to Sheila 1, there's no reason to go into the Fame Arch at all for this particular seed. Or maybe they're just kind of looking for characters. What do you think that's like Neon and Gundam Pilot Spaz might be thinking about with some of these checks?
Honestly, I've been in a seed where it was really fast go mode before. I remember all I could think to do was just start checking some stuff in hopes that maybe I would find something that would make everything fall into place properly. But these runners are a little bit higher skill level than I am, so I would think that they would not need quite as much time as I would.
I mean, it can throw you for such a big loop, and you might need to do some things to kind of get your feet underneath yourself. It might take a little bit to figure out, like, oh, I just need to go to Fabul, or even just being comfortable going there. One thing I picked up from a runner's review of a race that was kind of like this, where Pekonator and Black Shinobi were talking about their race, is that Baka said he had kind of done the counting of his D machines by buying Thor Rages for how many he knew he needed to do. And so as soon as he was done using them, he was done with his grind, which I thought was a really clever way of keeping track of how many you needed to kill and how many you had left to do. It's a really good piece of tech.
That is definitely something nice to keep in mind. I always lose track of my D machines.
I often do too. I know some people say they like to uh, do it with ethers, but I always find that I have various reasons for wanting to use different magic amounts from Tella, where I can't rely on that for the way I play. But the Thorage is a really nice bit of tech. Ooh, and ether twos. That's even nicer.
Alright, looks like Gundam Pilot Spaz is now done with the Fabul goal.
Very good. Collecting his useless musical instrument there. Collecting his objective number 3. And just that little bit closer. Yeah, looks like Neon has decided to knock out Yang. Is probably going for a little bit more Zerk strats, since Yang probably looking to slingshot that Yang. Ooh, and an Earth Crystal. Do you think we'll see a Rate That Treasury after this?
I could see doing it. I could definitely see doing Treasury at this point.
I wouldn't object to getting some real good ninja weapons for Edge, getting some really good stuff for. If he still has a cane in that party, looks like he does. A power shirt for anyone would be great. There's a lot of possible value that will make your Z fight a little bit easier or safer that you could get out of that treasury. And Neon Grey completes their jaunt through Fabul, does the defense, gets that Twin Harp. It looks like to be going up to Sheila, and we'll be getting their own Earth Crystal. Yes, and chat, Gundam Pilot Spaz is indeed heading into Troya Treasury, is going to be turning over that Earth Crystal. It is time for our favorite game show of Rate That Treasury.
Rate That Treasury!
Honestly, that was actually a pretty nice one, I think.
Yeah, that's about all I could possibly want out of that. I got a Masamune, I got a power shirt, we got a protect ring and a life staff, so Rose is gonna be fine. That was really nice. And Y2 Sky landing that ship outside of Baron, walking around a little bit with encounters on. That's the start of the D money grind.
Yeah, Sheep, I agree. That's probably. I would honestly say that's an 8 out of 10.
D money grind is the short name for the D machine grind that the vanilla speedrun uses, and that we also do. But unlike the vanilla speedrun, or most of the other times you've seen in Free Enterprise, we have encounters turned off or turned to where you can't run from them. We have the E can't run flag turned on, is even the most correct way to say it. So what the Y2 Sky did was Simbu and Twisted Flax had gotten together. Simbu provided some data, and Twisted Flax put together a really nice chart for where you can land outside of Baron and get in and reset the game, turn encounters on once you come back, and then do walking and count your steps. And once you got your step count in, based on your first encounter that you get, you can figure out what seed you're on, and therefore what you have to do in order to get a Searcher 2-beamer fight that when you hit the Searcher when there's nothing else on the screen, it will summon a D machine. The great thing about those D machines is they are subject to weak, so Tella can weak them down to single-digit HP, and also the only things in that fight will do hit your max HP based percentage damage to you. So things that do like 10 or 20% of your health from max damage, which means that it doesn't matter what level you're at, as long as you can hit them once they've been weaked, you're home free.
It's a very nice grind. There's still a little potential for for that nice grind to go wrong, but once you know how to do it, it's really an easy way to handle the leveling.
Yeah, and it's super, super effective when you're at low levels and need to get a lot of levels as fast as possible. We'll kind of see two different contrasting styles of grinding here with Y2 Sky and Gundam Pilot Spaz. Gundam Pilot seems to have a whole bunch of sirens in the inventory. Yeah, got 12 left. We'll be then summoning these yellow dragon eggs so that they can just go ahead and hit them, knock them down for 34,000 per shot. As soon as he's able to get to where he's one-shotting them, this will go a little bit faster. So the eggs are a little bit safer overall generally, and a little more controlled in terms of how much HP or how much XP you get. But if you need to get a whole lot of levels as quickly as possible, sometimes the Steam Machine grind is a little bit faster.
Especially when you don't have a lot of key items yet. Or in this case, you're probably not going to get that many key items.
Yeah, and I don't think the 11 that Gundam Pilot Spaz has left is enough to actually complete the grind. So I'll probably have to go buy some more, sell some things, do a little bit more shopping time. So you can definitely see where the difference in approach can make a huge difference in how fast you level and how far you get to go. And Born Soren looks like he is also about to join Y2 Sky, summoning lots of mechanical dragons and knocking them all down.
And Neon is working on ordeals.
Yep, working on our deals, making sure that Yang stays down, because I'm pretty sure that Neon is really looking forward to getting some Zerk characters out there and to getting that Yang to all sorts of crazy, crazy levels and having him punch his way through Zeromus.
Oh. That is not what you want to see when you start grinding. Or when you start trying to do a D machine grind.
Oh, I missed it. Was it not the correct fight?
Yeah, it wasn't even a searcher.
Oh, one thing with the new chart that we have for this particular seed, if you haven't used it in a while, sometimes you forget to maybe turn off encounters as soon as you get to the right spot, or you forget to maybe take an extra encounter or two, depending on what you need to do to finish out to set up the right, to know with the next one once you turn off encounters. So there's a lot of ways this can go subtly wrong, and unfortunately the reset time on it is noticeably larger than the old version of it when you were just up in the giant. Moore and Soren probably feeling a lot of pressure at this point.
Yeah, messing that up is not the most pleasant feeling.
No, definitely no fun. And those HP levels make me think that maybe Palom is far enough behind to get the slingshot. Rose has got a couple hundred HP over him. I don't remember their HP curves to know if that's actually enough. It looks like Conopel's Spaz had run out of those. Maybe he definitely went up to the shop to buy something in Fey March. Could have been some more hourglasses or sirens. Yeah, Neobari, our streamer, saying hourglass 2s are up there, so that was a refill of the hourglasses to make that that egg grind a little bit safer.
Yeah, this is sort of the point where I would be just selling anything that's not glued down for sirens.
Yeah, I think you have to be looking at your inventory and say what helps me in the next two fights I need to do, or the next two main fights of the Crystal Spear, the Crystal Sword Altar. Kane would love a Crystal Spear, wouldn't he? But the Crystal Sword Altar and the Z fight, anything that doesn't help directly with those fights gets sold. And Neon is about to get through their ordeals. Still has to go into the main tomb room and have fight Edge's parents to get the spoon and to get Tella his full spell list. Yep. And hopefully Bornsorn has it down correctly this time. But is back over at the whale taking a quick nap so that Tella has his full MP. And Gunpowder Spaz taking out that waterfall boss completes objective number 4, has 2 of his 3 down. And actually, with those hourglasses in hand, those dark imps are entirely doable. I don't think Gunpowder Spaz knows that they're there. I think that was just Born Soren who had done that scouting. But Gunpowder Spaz could be the first person on this restream to the crystal.
With Gundam doing the underground shop check, that's very likely he's gonna find those.
Yeah, Neon is now descending ordeals, having completed all the things that they need to do there. Gunpowder Spaz is maybe done with the underworld for a little bit. We'll see where exactly he is headed.
That is interesting. He still I do not think he found those hourglasses.
Oh, he definitely did. He had bought some.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, up in the land of summon monsters in the Fey March.
Okay, I missed
Definitely
that.
has them in hand.
It's very easy at times to misread the screens.
Yep, and Neon, having completed the completed ordeals, is now heading to get their objective number 4 complete.
So with that, Y2 Sky's the only one who has not done the waterfall on this stream.
Yeah, and you have to hope that Y2 Sky does remember to do it. You can definitely get yourself into a place where you have mentally checked it off because it's pretty straightforward, and you're here in the giant doing all these gianty things, getting our levels, and then you land back and say, cool, I need to go take out that crystal sword altar, and 100% forget to do a thing. So hopefully YG Sky does remember to go back to Earth after completing this grind and finish that off. And this grind is just about done. Tella is weakening that searcher. We'll either see Tella get knocked off here real fast, or yep, that is Pelham going to throw a little bit of fire Tella's way. and 700,000 XP is an awful lot, but if that Palom doesn't get a slingshot, that's not enough to get him to nuke.
Well, the Rosa got wiped. And that was... I did not see nuke there.
Nope, just shy. Yeah, it looks like 2 levels off. Palom needs to get to level 52 in order to get to nuke. But doing a good job of remembering to turn off encounters and then going back to save just in case something horrible happens. You definitely don't want to lose that D machine. And GPS making that brave, bold play down into the lunar subterrane will actually be the first runner on this restream who has a chance of actually taking out those dark imps. I really do like the play in this race with 22 other people, where you decide that you have to just go earlier than you're probably a little bit comfortable with. Rosa does help. She's a noticeably nicer white mage to take into the Z fight at low levels than a Porum is.
And it looks like Neon is looting out the Watery Pass.
Yeah, there is some really good treasure here. So Neon might be feeling like they want a little bit extra stuff, some higher quality gear, whatnot, in order to. Hey, and there's an edge finally. Neon might have been happy to see that earlier. Yeah, not terribly surprised that Neon got rid of Quakid there. Neon definitely loves to zerk up and do Quint strategies as much as they can. So feels very fitting that Neon would want to ditch some mages and get some muscly, striky boys on the team.
And the other thing is, a Berserker party doesn't necessarily need quite as high levels as a caster party does.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I don't know if we've seen any Bacchus wine anywhere, but we do have Rosa and we do have Tella. Both of them do have access to the Berserk spell, so we could be zerking up the party.
I know I did see Bacchus's in one of the stores, I just can't remember which one.
And GPS is deciding to take out the double dragons, having done enough of steel dragon eggs. Wants to take out the gold dragons up here. They are worth 30,000 XP per dragon, but you can, since you get 2 of them and can get a life glitch off of them, you can get 90,000 XP for the entire fight, which is really nice. See, YT Sky is in the big whale again. I don't think, and I don't see it in the tracker, that the waterfall was done.
That's not good if you forgot that.
Now, if we do happen to get the pass from the Dark Imps, it's not too bad, because then you'd be able to just go back down to Earth, take that pass, and go into what in Vanilla for Enterprise is a room of questionable moral taste. But here it's just a direct route to Zeromus, where you get to clean up the evil scourge of the moon just from the comfort of the Earth. And Neon buys a good boatload of Cure 3s too up in the Hemingway shop. Definitely nice to have those, especially if you have a party where Rose is probably going to be very He's going to be very busy throwing Berserk out, and maybe you want someone like Yang to throw some curatives. He can do a little chemist duty instead. Sheet Launcher, no, Neon had just gotten Tella, found Edge. It kind of has just been going through the rest of the stuff, and Neon, I don't think has done a grind yet, is thinking about going to the Giant, and instead goes back to the Earth. And GPS has just been doing gold dragons up here on the moon.
Looks like Y2 Sky is going for that spot.
Yep, finds those Arc Imps. Got a nice Hourglass 3 drop out of that D-Machine grind, which is really nice to get. So it doesn't have to go into the Underworld to buy any.
Yeah, they definitely hit hard, but with the Hourglass, should be a little more manageable.
Yeah, the Hourglass, when you throw it, does stop any further ATB ticks from processing on them. They won't fill up their ATB bar at all, so they don't get any new actions into the queue. But anything they did already have queued, like those fight commands, will still go off. So that's why we saw one round of punches, and then they'll just kind of sit there being targets the rest of the time. And Born Soren, it looks like he is also done with his D-Machine grind. Tello weaks the Searcher, Edge knocks out the old man, Rosa takes out that Searcher.
Let's see if his levels were enough.
Yeah, I missed the total there.
It was 700k. I can't remember the exact digits, but yeah.
Yeah, so Porum should be there because Porum is definitely in slingshot range. She's still a base level. I think Palom was at level 14 and Rosa was at 17. So neither Palom nor Rosa are going to get a slingshot. The Porum will get like 1.4 million off of that instead of the 700 that everyone else gets.
Palom is definitely short, but Porum has everything.
Yeah, level 58 Porum is a sight to see.
Hey, nothing wrong with doing White Mage strats for Threemus for Reflect. I've done it.
Yeah, they're a little bit trickier. You kind of want to silk web a little bit more, especially in order to, because you always want to try and get reflex strats done before you finish off Z. Or before you want the reflex strats to be finished before you get a second big bang. So you finish off Z before that second big bang comes out, and it's a little harder with double white and a single nuke. And just double white is really hard to do. With that, you'll probably have someone at chemist duty, and you'll probably be seeing a second big bang with there. But Y2 Sky does have the crystal track, does have 2, 3, and 4 done. Y2 Sky is on his way to Zeromus. We will see if Y2 Sky can pull this off.
Looks like it's time to get the Z flags out.
Yeah, I think we have a really important question to ask. Imperial Dragon, do you want to ask it?
Whose butt are we gonna kick tonight?
But that will be kicked approximately 23 different times tonight. And GPS has done a good job of getting the hourglass off on those dark imps and is casting Fatal in order to just get a little more experience points out of this, because he is still a little bit low. Yang is almost where you want him. You kind of want him to be around 4,000. And El Emperormus. Imperial Dragon, are you like moonlighting here?
And to be honest, I actually have no idea what this came from.
Neither do I, but that's no surprise for me. I know so few of them. But that is a really yellow and purple sprite. It's pretty cool. But GPS is through those dark imps, gets a few more levels on those characters, is able to get that crystal, complete the objective number 2, gets an Axe Cal out of there. That's a pretty nice find. Edge will be very happy to dart that. And oof, that was a big, big bang for Y2 Skyside. Only Rosa and Yang make it out alive, and that's a quick reset, unfortunately. You really, really hate to see it. Definitely, Y2 Sky's got to be feeling even more underneath the 8 ball than you normally would have, or behind that 8 ball, just given how high pressure situation this is, and how really the seed kind of laid itself out for you with those objectives and that starting darkness crystal.
And as a quick update, I now know where the sprite came from, thanks to Scala Kitty. It's from Final Fantasy II Dawn of Souls on the Game Boy Advance. Not a game I've played before.
Oh, but thank you very much, Scala Kitty, for that information. And Scala is one of the admins of the tournament, as well as the main sprite creator for all the Zroma stuff. She had taken over from Boardface for doing that portion of it, and together they've created over 450 different Z sprites for us to kick. As YT Sky heads back in, Neon Gray is working on their D Machine grind, while Born Soren is doing some Dark Imps. Rosa gets popped for a good bit, but thanks to that D Machine grind Born Soren had done, that's going to be okay. And Gun and Balance Spaz is back to grinding on those dragons, going to get all those levels for people. Those levels are looking pretty good too. I'd be very tempted to just go. You kind of have to get a little bit of sense of urgency here.
Yeah, definitely a sense of urgency. There's a lot of skilled players in this race, and only the first person's going to be getting through.
Indeed. And actually, off this restream, but on a different one, the first person is through. Dathis has completed the seed in 49:31. So GG's to Dathis, who absolutely just ran with that seed and was able to win this race. But it's still a close race for second. Lots of people still here, and lots of good free enterprise happening.
Yep. Looking forward to watching the rest of these runners finish.
Yeah,
Yes,
definitely.
just because one person finished doesn't mean that everybody else should just give up.
No, definitely everyone is playing because they enjoy playing the game. I know I always hate forfeiting. I only will do it if I like absolutely have something in my real life to go do. And I just love playing the game. And also, it'll be fun to maybe get an interview with all these runners, kind of get their thoughts on the seed and on the tournament overall.
Yeah, I'm honestly very curious to hear what people have to say about this one.
Yes, like when did your heart rate go below 200 off of that start? And has it yet?
I think the answer would probably be no, but and there is Dathis in the chat.
And GPS is headed in for his Z fight. Hopefully, has gotten all the levels necessary off of those gold dragons, and is able to take this out.
And Neon is still working on that level grind.
Yeah, we saw a few runners kind of cut it a little bit short, probably because they wanted to get going as fast as possible. But I'm more of the belief that if you're going to go do a D machine grind, you want to overgrind if you're going to err on either side of the experience curve. You want to do a little bit more. It doesn't take that much extra time to do a couple if you don't remember the numbers, and it will save you time overall because you'll be just that much stronger for it. You don't have to do what Born Soren is doing here, taking some Fatal Eye fights and some other fights to kind of finish off the levels that you were looking for.
Yeah, especially since that takes a lot of precious time.
Yeah, and White Sky looks like has this fight fairly well under control at this point. Palom and Tella are a little unconscious, but they aren't really the key members here. You're really looking at Young and Edge to do all the damage and Rose to keep healing them as much as you can.
Though it looks like he is trying to get Palom back up.
Yeah, if the kid can Starveil himself and kind of use some turns, throw in a Lit 3 or even just a Virus to kind of help get out and push, definitely worthwhile. And it's possible that Whitey's guy had gotten him up to nuke levels. That HP total is pretty darn close to what he is when he has nuke. But Threemus sure does, and nukes Rosa directly off of that. Rosa down to only 24 HP. Gonna get a quick cure 3 off and get her back up.
That is not something that I like seeing, having Rosa go that low.
No, definitely uncomfortable when she gets under 3 digits. Meanwhile, the Rosa on Gundapilot Spaz's side is throwing some whites. We got a Fire 3 out here. Rosa now doing a little healing. Rosa just kind of does everything. Rosa's wonderful. Everyone loves Rosa. She's like Raymond, but better.
She's so flexible.
She really is. I mean, you can give her some great bows, get her that heroine robe, and she can be some really significant physical fighter damage. Get her up into levels. That white spell does a whole heck of a lot of damage, and just all the healing and white mage utility. Rose is one of the best.
I never complain when I see her as a starting character.
And oof.
Really hate to see that.
Yeah, YG Sky taking a couple of Z wipes. Is kind of sitting here on that menu screen. Might be thinking about it. Might have already seen that dot done come in from Dathis. and we'll see if YG Sky continues on. Oh, it looks like Neobardi has indicated that we do have a forfeit from Y2 Sky, which I totally understand. You only want to go through that Z fight so many times without having to go ahead and like go regrind or anything.
And sometimes if the Z fight, if your party's in a bad enough spot, it's, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see if YG Sky is interested in coming in for an interview.
Neon was spending a lot of time checking on the status screens. And I do believe that is GPS just gotta finish.
Indeed, that is a dot done for Gunabot Spaz. And we are joined by Y2 Sky. GG's on your race and on the tournament overall, Y2 Sky. Tell me, how did you feel when you saw that Darkness Crystal come down?
Well, naturally, there's a little bit of panic there. I knew going into it that jet seats were not my forte, so but just tried to settle down and play the game until the grind showed up, and just went from there.
Yeah, and you were the first on our restream of people getting into that D Machine grind, and the first completed with it. You definitely looked like you had a pretty good handle on it. Had you been counting? Did you know you were a little bit short at the end of the levels to get Palom to nuke? Were you planning to get him to there?
My first thought was just Rosetta White, since I had Edge and Yang, but yeah, that was probably a mistake. Not so much for Nuke. I mean, Nuke would have been a help, but the levels were more of a problem overall just because of the relative agility. I thought the curse ring there would be enough, but Threemus is still crazy fast, and I think my characters needed to be closer to 52, 53, maybe even 54. So yeah, I briefly thought about doing 2 or 3 more D machines, but it took me a little too long to find Tella and a little too long to find life potions, so I felt a little bit behind. So I mainly just looked at the Roses of White spot on the chart and went from there.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good bit of analysis, though, in what you're feeling and kind of going with your gut on the whether or not you were behind. That was a really close race overall. I'm sure all the runners were under a lot of pressure with that start.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, I was nervous for the race coming in regardless. So just because this has been a fun tournament, didn't want it to end, but yeah, GG to all the runners. Seeing some really good times come in, especially for a seed like this. So.
Imperial Dragon, do you have any questions for Y2 Sky?
Not really.
Y2 Sky, and you said you had a fun time in the tournament. Any thoughts on the tournament overall?
As far as just like the tournament itself, or my run, or like what do you mean? The tournament itself is fantastic. This has been crazy fun, and I'm already looking forward to the next one. Little break will be nice now that the results come in, but yeah, I'm already looking forward to the next one. So.
Oh, very good. It was a pleasure watching you race these races, and get better and stronger all the time, and you did a really good job for a kind of jet seed where everyone knew that, well, we have the entire seed right there in front of us. We just have to figure out how to grind and go. That's a really tough position to be in, and you handled it pretty well.
Thanks, appreciate that. Like I said, just came up a little bit short on some of the decision making. Probably rushed into things a little bit. Not too sure because I think even the 2 or 3D machines, like I said, would have probably put me. I would have probably been watching the dot duns come in before before I even popped the crystal. So yeah, that was just tough. Just didn't make the right checks at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely tough, and we are also joined by Gunpilot's Faz. Gunpilot's Faz, GG's on your race. A very good time of under an hour. Also, just a little unfortunate in your routing overall. Just kind of didn't get there. What made you kind of go through Antlion and make those checks?
Oh, panic. Panic would be the reason. I mean, I don't think I've played a seed where go mode was immediate. So of course my first goal was find Tella and find Ethers. And I didn't find either. And as I was running around, I really decided to loot Antlion to try to get more money. And I figured, hey, I could just grab the key item, see if it's underground access, which it was. But kind of my goal, even in running underground, was not to find sirens and hourglasses, but it was to find ethers and then take the blue whale up and then check the character up there. But when I found both the hourglasses and the sirens, and I could afford enough to start my grinding, that's what I decided to do. And I figured that would be a better time save. But of course, once I saw that Tella, I knew I was probably not gonna finish first.
Yeah, it was definitely a good readjustment of the priorities, getting that magma key, and then deciding. Then once you found those sirens, to just kind of go with that grind and try and push through that way.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I don't know if you saw how much damage I was doing to that egg. I'm really glad I found the hourglasses because it would have been a grind to do my grind otherwise. I think even Edge was only doing like 500 damage to it, so would have been a really bad situation if I just didn't happen to come across both those. But on the flip side, if I also found ethers. If I didn't find the hourglasses, I may have checked that moon character. So it was a very fast seed, but just from those couple choices, there was a lot of possibilities. That's one of the reasons why these flags are so crazy.
Yeah, what are your thoughts overall on the flags and the tournament so far?
Oh, the tournament's been fantastic. I mean, I've been honestly like one of my like. As I was getting ready to run in the race, I was also kind of regretting not being able to watch this race because, the 12 runners simultaneously, just it's both overwhelming and it's an achievement that all the Restream team has been able to pull this together. And every match has been fantastic, and the flags really do make it exciting. Even in races I've won, where my opponent and I did different routes, got different objectives, and still finished within 5 to 7 minutes of each other. It's been pretty spectacular.
Yeah, it definitely has been overall, and as always, fun watching people race and fun watching you race. GG's overall on your tournament. I know everyone, of course, who didn't make it through here is going to be a little bit sad that they didn't, but I really liked the way that you kind of adjusted your strategies on the fly. Definitely, you were paying attention to the seed and paying attention to what you could do, and that was really nice.
Yeah, no, I I definitely felt good about the way I performed in this race. I think 58 minutes might be my fastest free enterprise finish ever.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, so that's an achievement. Go mode from the jump and being able to work through it is an achievement. It definitely. Glad I didn't have a mic on because there was definitely some expletives from the point where I saw that darkness crystal to when I saw that Tella and when I did see that the Dathis finished first, that was the one time I did cheer. I was very excited for him at 50 minutes to conquer the seed that quickly, and for him to move on the tables. Dathis is a good runner. He's a great member of the community, and we all give him a hard time for his vanilla or jet tendencies, but he conquered this jet seed.
And Imperial Dragon, any thoughts or any questions for Gundam Pilot Spaz?
Honestly, I think you actually covered most of it.
Yeah, with a seed where it's kind of linear like this, it's a little bit hard to have a whole lot of different questions.
No, thank you so much to Niabari on the restream, to Rumblefish and Sheep Launcher tracking, and to both of you on the comms. Definitely excited to go back and watch this whole race, and kind of experience it without my heart leaping out of my chest.
Yeah, I bet. I'm sure there was a lot of nerves on this one, and that start did not help anything. Oh, how did you feel with that treasury? What would you have given that treasury?
Oh, that treasury was probably like a 5 out of 10. I mean, the Masamune was good, and I got something else that I equipped right away. But I think otherwise, a Siren, which I think already had like 8 in my inventory at that point. Yeah, not great, but it probably gave Edge a little bit more power.
Yeah, the power shirt too. And I think there's a life staff and either a diamond and or a protect ring. So there was some decent.
Yeah, that was pretty good. In fact, now that you say that, I now remember I forgot to equip that life staff before going into Z. So there's that.
Well, it's so hard to remember everything, especially for as fast as the seeds that could have been, and as much as you kind of had to bounce around and reconfigure stuff on the fly.
Yeah, definitely. But no, thank you again, and I will be very much looking forward to the rest of the tournament.
Well, thank you for coming in. Thank you for racing. Glad you had a good tournament, and enjoy a little bit of relaxation.
And we've got the other two working on their Z fights.
Born Soren going for reflex shots, it looks like, with those two white mages and Palom. Probably Palom's close to nuke, if not actually there. And Neon doing some healing with Tella, who has 1000 HP, not something you see all the time. Kane is swinging away. Edges looking for stuff to throw. Oh, we got Nexcal here in the inventory. Let's get rid of that. Who needs that junk?
Not in this seed, you don't.
I think Threemus' face needs it.
Fair enough.
Oh, that looks like that is a crack, a boom, and a flash on Born Soren's side. Born Soren coming in and finishing this seed. Just kind of catch up on placement. Gundam Pilot Spaz, when he finished at 58.38, that was 8th place.
And I believe we now have Boren Soren in the channel.
Hey, everybody.
GG, and how did you feel on seeing that star?
I don't think I've ever had immediate go mode before, so a little anxious.
Not exactly the best thing to see sometimes.
No, I was, I was thinking like, okay, this will be, I'll be happy if it's the kind of seed where you have to settle into, and there are maybe some like quick hurdles you have to jump over, not immediate go mode, and also, by the way, the only required moon fight is free. So yeah, my heart's still pounding. It was fun though. It was fun.
Definitely gives you an interesting time with figuring out routing.
Yeah, I was really debating what I was going to do, like grind wise, because there was immediately an Edward available, and I was like, okay, I need to do a little bit of save scumming here, because if it makes sense at all, I'm gonna go for the Eddie strats. But Tella was on the moon. Just do your D machine, take your mages, and have fun.
Was that the reason why you went and peeked the boss of the Crystal Sword Altar? Was basically if you could use
It
that,
is,
that Eddie?
yeah. I wanted that little bit of info because I wanted to know, like, is this something that I can? Is this something like completely free that I can cheese here, or like, am I really gonna have to get a bunch of levels and then be ready for like a more traditional Z fight? I also just kind of wanted the info of what the last thing I was going to need to do would be. Like my D machine grind started going a little bit wonky, but since I knew there was some like life glitchable boss fights that I needed to do, and just got the extra experience there, and it wound up still being a little bit short, and I had to take a random encounter for Nuke.
Yeah, we had enough
Yeah.
going on that we kind of didn't see. How did your D machine grind go a little bit sideways on you?
Well, I was in such like a rush to go fast that I didn't buy ether ones or extra cure potions. So I just like started running out of the ability to heal my party, and my turn order got a little wonky. So I went from being able to get like real consistent double life glitches to all of a sudden Palom is going immediately before Tella, and then I have to have Rosa not whiff attacking the dragon. So it just went a little sideways, and I had already had some trouble getting it set up. So I just figured, all right, I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead, and if I need to get some extra XP somewhere, I'll figure it out.
Not a bad thought in that situation at all.
No, it really does, like, you do all kinds of practice, you like give yourself these like really tough scenarios to overcome, and then you get a seed where you can just immediately get ready to go, and it throws like all of that prep work out the window, and it's just how cleanly can I execute the most basic thing.
I mean, that sort of like being perfect at very like, or at least seemingly simple. Like the D machine grind is not really the most basic thing, as you saw. Like it can definitely go a little bit sideways on you and start kind of getting a little squirrely. But just like pure execution races that have really not a whole lot of randomization in what you need to do other than like finding your ethers. Those are some of the hardest seeds because it's so hard to practice those.
Yeah, and I'm really annoyed isn't the right word, but I forgot that I had gotten rid of Kane, and I bought an extra Soma drop for me giving him 10 MP, and I looked at my party and went, oh right, I didn't keep him because I only had a silver sword. So I was like, all right, well, Tella gets 110 MP today.
Well, your heart was in the right place. Kane lovers everywhere will appreciate that you were on Give Kane MP 2020.
Yeah, and I really wish I'd found a second black mage at some point. Because white is a lot slower than Nuke, and I just couldn't. I didn't buy any additional Star Veils, so I only had the 2 from the starter kit. So I think my first time I ran out of Star Veils, even though I nerfed the Big Bangs correctly, and the second one, white just wasn't fast enough to beat the second Big Bang. So I just had to like reorder things a little bit and go back in and get my spells queued up right. I also got like really lucky in my last attempt that the counter nuke on the first nerf hit my anchor instead of Palom, which makes the Z fight a lot easier.
Yeah, it sure does. Any further thoughts on the seed or the tournament for you overall, Bornshorn?
I'm really happy with how I performed in this being my first tournament. And I want to say to anybody who's watching and hasn't participated, this community is amazing and so welcoming and happy to bring in new members. All of the volunteers and admin staff that make tournaments like this possible do amazing work. So, you know, if you've watched a couple of these races and you've enjoyed them, like, you know, please join the Discord. Please, you know, engage with us, because it's, like I said, it's a great community and I'm really happy to be a part of it.
Well, thank you, and that is great to hear. And it was a pleasure watching you run, and I hope to see you in the community races once those start back up, and of course in the next tournament too.
All right, thanks everybody.
And it looks like we are also joined in the channel by Neon Gray. So,
Hey.
how did you feel on that start?
It was an interesting start because as soon as the darkness crystal popped, it's like, you know, just a root just, you know, blossomed, fully formed into my head. And there were some deviations from the original plan, which I should have committed to more and actually going with, because like that magma key, I needed to make that run underground just to get a couple things to shore up that initial start. But otherwise, yeah, interesting start. Rare to see them quite that jetty, but hey.
It keeps things exciting.
That it does. It's yeah, I got a lot of things really fell into place there. One thing I do wish was that if I had had like, you know, a couple levels less on Kane, because I was 40% of a level off of having a triple slingshot there. Just because the initial because swapping in Edge was not just because I had the Masamune, it's because he has that high level start, which boosts, which does boost that level average without giving anybody else any experience at all. Which, you know, given that this was not a seed where we were looking for key items, you know, you want that.
I do love that logic. I'd never thought of it in those terms for Edge.
Like it's really rare that's gonna be impactful, because you're, you know, he starts at like level 25. You're rarely needing to do your grind with a start where below level 25 is gonna be a thing. But that's important math to have in your back pocket.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite low-key things about this flag set, was that say you found a Sid and 2 Edges really early, all of a sudden, like, Rosa on any of your fights is getting a little slingshot, so maybe you think about going to do Fabul first, because that's about 5,000 XP, so she'd get 10 and get a good slingshot. If you have underground access, doing a quick egg if you can is
yeah.
a lot of fun. It's just a real subtle little thing that, like you said, doesn't come up often, but comes up just enough that it's nice to know it.
Yeah, like that was amazing, and like the way the characters were handed out, like that was just perfect. You know, giving the Tella, giving the Yang, selling the Artemis bow for the Ogre axe hurt, but there was no time to be searching for better weapons for Cade. And I knew Rosa was not going to be attacking, not with this setup.
It's definitely a fair decision on that one.
Yeah, I like to give her the chance to use that bow, but not today. I actually needed you healing. For once.
Yeah, no Quint for you today, unfortunately. But I really loved that quick dip into the Serpent Road, so you didn't have to fly the airship over, and so you could just pick up the big whale when you walked out. That was really nice.
Yeah, sadly I had to go pick up the Enterprise because I needed to go underground, but what can you do about that, really?
Yeah, not much, but it's always so fun to see that callback
Yeah.
to vanilla used. It's very fun and cheeky, and I loved it.
Yeah, I thought that'd be fun for everybody else too, because I was sitting there like, oh, this goes right. The whale could be my main ride. And that never happens, so hey. Yeah, so yeah,
Any
so
other?
yeah, no, I'm like placement regardless. I am actually really happy with how I did on that, because there was a lot of things I could have cleaned up, but good scene, very happy.
Any other thoughts on the tournament itself?
Not really. Like, I really like this flag set that was come up with. It's got that breezy fun without like that really kind of harkens back to the qualifiers of the very first tournament, without being as completely trivializing as those were. If for those who have been around long enough to remember that, they're fun and snappy, but you do have to be on your toes. Like, it will challenge you if you let it.
Yeah, I definitely remember watching those, and especially the start was kind of like starting with a crystal in that flag set, where you just kind of go in, and you better catch up to the seed because the seed's already started.
Yeah, like I don't. Yeah, I have not gotten to time that fast on an actual proper race since those very since the first tournament with when of course that was a norm with that flag set, and much like as it was today, the 113 is on the slow end for that.
Yeah, those jetty seeds are something else, and we don't get to practice them very much anymore.
Yeah, and I mean that's honestly that's for the best, just for competitive, the nature of the competition. But when they come out, oh, they're fun.
Yeah, and it's always fun to watch you and talk with you, Neon. Great running throughout the tournament. Hope to see you again in community races once those start back up, and maybe in the booth occasionally, or tracking as this tournament goes on, and maybe also in the next tournament.
Oh yeah, I do my best. My schedule is weird, so I'm so often not free when people are racing. But yeah, always happy to help out. Always happy to race when I can. But I think I'm probably holding everybody up by just liking the sound of my own voice. So.
Well, any other questions for Neon Imperial Dragon?
Nope, I think we covered it.
All right, Neon. Well, we will let you go and take a nice break and let your heart kind of calm down from that very fast race.
Oh
But again,
yeah.
thanks for racing. It's always a pleasure, and it's been good seeing you.
Ah, thank you, and thanks for all the work to the entire team.
And I believe that is about to wrap us up for this evening. And as Neobari in chat is saying, the Magma play in 2 tomorrow, so the last race of this group flag set. And where 3 runners will advance out of a pool of, I don't remember how many, 13 or 20 or so, but better numbers will come out. I think it was 13 though overall. And they'll be racing across these exact same channels of Free Enterprise, Random Mania Prime, and RPG Limit Break, where you can watch all those races here. And I believe we will be throwing it to somewhere, unless we're wrapping up. Neobari will kind of ping me at some point to let me know what's actually going on there. But while we figure that out, any further thoughts, Imperial Dragon, on this race or anything else?
No, just was a really good race tonight, and was definitely happy to see it. And I believe we're heading off to Direwolf 813 for a raid.
Indeed. So say hello to Direwolf, and if don't try and not spoil anything in case Direwolf does want to, or any of chatters in that stream do want to kind of watch these back. But thanks everyone for watching. Hope you've had a great weekend, and thanks for spending time with us. GDs and good evening.
Good evening.